That is so awesome.
His family is actually LCS.
No way.
I mean, he's not active,
Yeah.
but he's from Utah, I think. He's just like. Hello, beautiful shiny diamonds. So excited to be on with you. Wait, can you mute me? Wait, why am I echoing in the next room? Is that possible to not be echoing? Yes, okay, good. Kyle and I are right next to each other. So just so we're clear, this is for not the Diamond Club call, which I am going to be rescheduling for next Tuesday. So Karen, I don't know if you're thinking I'm going to be talking about Diamond Club today. I adore you and I love seeing your beautiful face, but it's actually not the Diamond Club reschedule call. So, anyways, let's jump in. Kyle and I have really been doing a lot of our own personal development lately, right? Like just as the leader, as you guys already know, it's this constant progress of how do I continue to raise my leadership lid? And so the commitment that we, we'll promise you is that we will never ever stop learning and growing. And we'll also admit when we feel like we've hit our leadership lid, and then give you guys, ideas and, places to go to find new inspiration and kind of how the process for which we do that, right, Kyle? So Kyle is like a personal development junkie. I actually look to him. He's usually the one that's sending me like, oh, listen to this podcast or listen to this video or, check this out. And, always giving me ideas as well. So I appreciate the way he leads me and love to give you a chance to say hello and kind of.
Yeah, super excited to be here and see all of you. I think we look forward to, collaborating with you guys as much as we do, coming up with new stuff to talk about. And I think we just collectively kind of learn best when we all share together. Are you muted? It's just kind of this weird feedback, huh? It's okay. As long as you guys can't hear it, then that's what matters. I wanted to take a second though, real quickly, and just congratulate some of, we had a new Blue Diamond, Sophia. Super excited. I know this last year for her has included a lot of transition, moving from California to, Arizona, I believe. And I wanted to also recognize, real quick, I want to pull this up because I know that some of these people, I don't know, I only actually know one of them personally. And these are our new diamonds. So Cassandra Mailman and Jessica Bildu, I think I said it right. Crystal Imblut, and then Sigrid Czech, who is the first diamond on our team in Germany. And I believe she's under Kimberly Malusis and Holly and that whole amazing group of leaders. So I just wanted to congratulate all of you guys for, or recognize those diamonds specifically, those new diamonds in our group. We hear the feedback, but maybe mute everyone. You know what? I'm going to take this out. Maybe is that better? Is that feedback gone? No, it's not gone? Shoot. Okay, hold on one second. Maybe. It's not gone. We hear the feedback. Maybe mute everyone. Hold on, guys. Sorry, this is slightly. Yeah.
It's gone now, Kyle.
I don't know.
I feel like it was your headset.
Oh. Was it?
It's gone.
Okay, so it's gone. So maybe it was Laura. Laura says she's the guilty, or Laura's just going to take the blame. And you know what, Laura, I do big time respect.
That's the kind of girl she is. Laura Pasternak in the house. Everybody, thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to take a second to recognize those diamonds. I look forward to getting to know them. Many of them I don't know. I think it's really amazing. Sigrid also was one of our top enrollers. I think she had like 28 enrollments this last month in Germany. And anyway, just really, really incredible. And I know many of you guys had new golds and platinums and silvers. I know, Rochelle, you had a new gold.
I have something to say, actually. Rochelle had a new gold. And I asked Rochelle's permission for this, because as many of you know, Rochelle hit Blue Diamond a few years ago. And just so you know, like, the journey that she's been on in the last few years of completely rebuilding 2 legs to get back to Blue Diamond. Rochelle also hit Blue Diamond last month. And I just want to congratulate her again. To me, like, to hit it and then to like re-hit it. I know Laura as well, like, diamond and then not diamond for a while and then back to diamond. You guys, like, this type of resilience and persistence and vision, and just knowing that a lot of parts of this business are really, really difficult, right? Like, it's just hard. And sometimes I'd even call it a little bit sucky, but like, we still move forward because we look at like how amazing it is. And really that's how all businesses are, right? That's life in general. And there's nothing that any of us, I believe that any of us would really rather be doing than going through, the suckiness of rebuilding a leg. Like, it's like, yeah, that's hard, but wow, what a blessing to transform yourself. And I've really seen, I want to go back, I've seen Rochelle transform herself, like from originally, who she attracted in the beginning and like who those people were and who she was, and now who she's attracting now. And I just want you guys to look at that as an example as well. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to rebuild a leg, or I'm not hitting my rank like I was anymore, like, well, it is sucky, and I'm going to acknowledge that. Okay, that's my 3-year-old's favorite word right now, and I keep telling him not to say it, but then I'm saying it, so clearly he's getting it from me. But it's an accurate way of describing how it feels sometimes to have to rebuild. But at the same time, the victory is so much sweeter when you come back to your rank and then rank advance even faster the next time, because you have your right people in place. Like, you've actually now attracted your real tribe, like not the ones that were kind of in the beginning, like maybe I want this person, or I'm desperate for this leader, I'm going to fill this spot. Now having your real tribe to move forward and be like big time change makers in the world, it's incredible. There's nothing like it. I'm so proud of all of you guys for sticking with it and making it happen. So yeah.
I think, just real quickly before we kind of dive into the content, and I just kind of wanted to real quickly open it up. I know we haven't said hi to Daphne and is it Lison or Lison? Lison? Okay. Lison and Veronique, Danielle, what's up? And anyway, just want to make sure that all of you guys know we see you with Lison with your beanie on, probably in the store getting some stuff done. And
I think that's called a togue.
Or a togue, okay. And Daphne in your office. And anyway, just want you guys to know we see you, and we're grateful that you guys are here and excited to kind of talk about, about stuff. Kirsten and I, and I know many of you guys have spouses that you can bounce this type of stuff off of, but this last week, I'll just start with this.
We're best friends.
Yeah, we're best friends. So I was going through, I have a little side project that I'm doing, and I was going through basically old pictures, some of our leaders, some of you guys that are on this call, and they're basically their timelines in doTERRA, right? From like the beginning and kind of their stages. And then by default, that took me down this hole where I started to see some of my own stuff and people that, but basically just kind of history. And it was really interesting. I came to this conclusion, and the first thing, there was a couple of group pictures that I saw of people's teams. And I started to look at those group pictures, and I was like, oh my gosh, none of those people in those pictures are building anymore. Or like, they're not even there anymore, right? And then I looked at, and it was across the board, right? Like, people move in and out of our organizations. And like, the people that were in their organizations and our organization like 6-7 years ago, they're still using the oils, and maybe they like refer a couple people, but they actually weren't, they're not building anymore. And then I noticed that there was some other pictures, like personal pictures. And there was groups of people, like I used to be a youth counselor in our church. And I was looking at those pictures, and you know what's crazy? In some of those pictures, 2 or 3 of the kids that I was a youth counselor for have now passed away. And as I started to look at this blend of both personal and business, it hit me really hard that to be successful in life and to be successful in business, we will have people pass through our business. We will have lots of people pass through our lives. Some of them will physically pass away. Some of them will still be in our businesses, but they'll pass away in a sense, as far as like being builders and leaders. And guess what? We can still experience success. We can still experience success. The death or the passing away of people through our lives and our organizations doesn't mean that whatever the goal is that we have also passes away. And I look at our organization now and all these other new people, and it's still successful, right? And it just hit me really hard that just because the people that were in our lives, in our businesses at certain points, are playing different roles now than they did, it does not mean that what we have is not equal to success, or it's not equal to. And it was really it, and I don't know if I verbalized this properly, but I hope that as you guys, if you go back and you look at your organizations and you look at the people that have been involved, you don't judge yourself and say, oh my gosh, what happened to my business? Where did these people go? You know, like, and I'm sure, Laura, if you could look back at your organization, you would say, where did these freaking people go? Like, we were all doing this and now where are they? And yet you hit diamond last month, you know, or you're back and you're, you know, or you're back progressing towards that, or you look at Rochelle and that transformation, right? In each of you. And so I just want you to understand that you are playing the long game. I think when you look at a picture and you're like, you're judgmental about where did these leaders go, or why aren't they working with me? That's the short game. That's the finite game. The long game is understanding that there will be this flow of people. So anyway, that was kind of a unique perspective that I had as I went through that. I want to, today is really about having a conversation about these 7 systems. How many of you guys had the chance to listen to that podcast? Daphne, awesome. Lison, don't worry about raising your hand. If you are on and you're able to turn your camera on so we're able to see and interact with you, awesome. If not, you know, please post in the comments and let me know if you are able to listen to that podcast. Daphne, I'm just gonna unmute you and ask you, as you listen to Fraser talk about these 7 kind of systems, and again, we're taking something that I think is really valuable, and we're kind of putting it through the doTERRA filter and using it to make us really refine or ask ourselves important questions. What were some of the questions that kind of came to your mind as you kind of listened to that subject and thought about your own organization and those systems?
Okay, good questions, Kyle. Darren and I were actually driving back from Whistler from the Diamond Summit yesterday. And so we listened to it in the car together. So we were able to go, we know what our strengths are, but we know where our weaknesses are. And we both just want to work smarter. So I want to know what systems work. So yes, I made my own notes. You know, there are some things I'm really good at, but other things, I think in the midst of just trying to maintain rank and build in South Africa, like things go through the cracks. You know, you just don't have time right now. I don't feel like I have time to actually go like, I need to get really good at this. So
Yeah.
I want to enter 2020 with amazing systems in place. And
Okay.
so, yeah, that's where I am. I listened to Fraser, maybe 2 months or 3 months ago when he sent. So he's easy to listen to, which is really good. So I know
Yeah.
what my strengths are. I know where I need, out of those 7 onboarding or 7 areas I need to improve.
Where do you feel like, and I'll share my screen so you can kind of, everyone can see what we're talking about, but where do you feel like you shine and where do you feel like you want to improve?
I'm absolutely amazing at creating community and culture. So I've
Okay.
been able to do that, with all my Australia, my UK, my South Africa team. I feel like I have good relationship with them. My weaknesses would be lead generation. I don't really, I use Synduit, but not, that costs a lot of money for others that can't afford,
Sure.
the cost. I want to find a way that our whole team can get better. With Kimberly and you being our upline, we have an incredible wellness advocates onboarding. So right from the beginning, that's been huge. 15 emails that Kimberly put together, the Launch to Elite program that she created, and then daily mentor calls. So that's definitely a strength. Personal development and leadership. I have a weekly team call, but I don't think I'm shining at that. If there is this actual system in place besides the launch.
Yeah, and sometimes the system doesn't need to be like this complex step-by-step thing. It's just more like, what are you doing? So, and real quickly, this is, I want to do this without everyone, maybe having everyone take 10 minutes or something, but just real quickly, like raise your hand, unmute yourself and say, here's what I'm doing well, and here's where I would like to improve. Like, here's the system that I'm really good at, or here's the process that I shine at. Here's the process where I need to collaborate with all of you. And I really want to like go into 2020, and really have something a little bit more figured out. So you don't have to wait for me to call on you to say it, please. I'll start calling people out, but Daphne, I just want to say thank you for, kicking it off. And
Yeah.
so for you, you feel like the lead generation system that we all use currently is make a list, connect with those people, 2 people a day, right? Follow up with those people, sample to them or invite them. It doesn't have to be a sample, although sampling is traditionally what we've done. Invite them to a presentation or some sort of experience, right? And then enroll them. So that has been traditionally what we call kind of our lead generation system that we typically have used.
So Carl, I'm really good. I know that whole system.
Yeah.
I think many of us really are bombarded with so many options. The Harrisons come out with something, then there's this other thing that comes out. So you sit with your pieces of paper, you start a new program. It's like, I need to get something that is going to work well. And a program actually, or something that will allow husband and wife to both be on the same program would be really ideal.
Okay.
Oil Camp. I love Oil Camp. Don't know who all uses it. The only problem is that it exhausts my leaders. And so we're now putting it onto my website, and let's see how it goes that way. The thing that I'm scared of is losing community, because that has been a great way to actually create community across countries.
Okay.
I don't know what you mean by events promotion system. That's what I didn't understand.
Yeah, he talks about that a little bit. We'll go through that. And so I'm just kind of manually mentally taking some notes. I'm going to call on if it's cool, I'm going to call on Danielle. I don't know if you're able to unmute yourself, but I'd love to hear I don't know if you didn't have a chance to listen to the podcast, no big deal. But just looking at these systems, right? Or these 7 systems or 7 areas that we can kind of have a process around. Just kind of, what do you feel like comes to you really naturally? And what do you feel like is an area that you kind of want to either dedicate or collaborate on being able to improve?
Yeah, good question. My focus obviously has been finishing a dissertation, which I did
Yeah,
this week,
congratulations.
so thanks.
Yeah, so
I'm really
awesome.
excited. So I haven't like been diving too much into stuff. So what I have been doing is creating, so a new lead generation, I guess we call, I don't really know all these terms. I didn't get a chance to listen to that. Yeah, I was going to listen to it Monday though. But I would say creating a funnel that gets my target market in is something that I love doing. And I would say I'm decent at it. And then just getting my team on a system. So we've been focusing, I got hiccups. Sorry, I just ate too. So we've been focusing on, what's the system? Alicia Devi's like 50-day mentor calls or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So that, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So my brand new, like as soon as I graduate in a month from now, I'm like launching back to elite is my focus.
Cool. Awesome.
I don't know if I answered your question. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's fine. It doesn't matter if you listen to the podcast. Awesome. It'll just be a great way. I think it's a great way for us to find the gaps, right? And I think that most people would agree that most people feel like they could improve on the lead generation one, right? Most people want ideas. And we want the majority of our brainstorming to be around lead generation. How is it that we find new people? How is it that we teach our teams to find new people? How is it that we set up automation as far as that goes? And so I'm just kind of wanting to get a little bit of a pulse before we kind of talk about these a little bit more. Laura, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it or if you have any thoughts kind of about these.
Thanks, Kyle. I've been totally immersed in the whole Sedavi system, I guess you might want to call it, since coming back from Prague. So I did not get a chance to do that because I've been doing so many other things. I would love to listen to it, so I will go back and listen to it. But when I look at this list, I would have to say lead generation. I just launched a new website in October. And like Daphne, I want to put my oil camp on there because I see that our current customers, their LRPs are low, and I want to, get back onto educating people. And Facebook is not a favorite way for a lot of people anymore. Either they don't have an account or they just don't like going there. They get kind of sucked in. And I want to be more automated in the next year and maybe even have an assistant, but I need to have more automation and more clear ways of, I guess, integrating the people that I currently have and then also my prospects, because I have a lot of prospects that I don't reach out to. I don't get to.
Yeah.
I don't have a good system, and I see Laura Jacobs' system. I see Melina's system, and I'm like, I need a CRM, and where do you go? I got a new website. So I have a lot of things coming in, but I'm staying focused in the simple back to basics training and keeping my team focused on that. And we just finished a 6-week program, basically, reach elite, but I'm glad you're doing this. This is going to be really helpful, I think, for me and for a lot of other people.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you kind of sharing. I'm actually going to have Laura. I actually asked Laura Jacobs to do a demo of Enroll Pro for all of us so that we could at least look at it and kind of like determine if we feel like it would be a good fit for kind of, how we want to manage prospects, communicating text, email. Laura is somebody that I trust a great deal. And I know that if she creates something, like it's usually really, really comprehensive and complete. But sometimes as really busy leaders, we're kind of like, oh, I don't know if I can make time to learn. I don't know if I can make time to learn. I want to do, I'm done learning. And so sometimes we need that force. So I asked her, I said, hey, would you be willing to kind of, do something special, kind of really dive in, show how it works so that we can, maybe solve a problem that many of us have. So,
and someone just said that you can actually put Oil Camp in her Enroll Pro.
Yeah, I don't even know.
And the Prague, we have a Prague page for everybody that went to Prague. There's so much information coming through there, and someone just said that they're uploading into Enroll Pro. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. So I know Melina also has done a lot when it comes to a lot of the automating, but I just kind of wanted to. So I'm a visual learner, so I have to see things. I can't just put them in a spreadsheet. And so I just started to kind of make a list, and I probably got the most stuck on the lead generation portion, right? I mean, and I guess what I mean by that is I know all the stuff that we're already doing, right? But I always kind of feel like this is probably the area where the most collaboration and most innovation can take place between all of us, right? Is the things that we are doing in this region to continue to teach ourselves and our teams how to find and enroll more people. And so I think this next month, when we do this next one, we'll kind of do a whole session on lead generation, on super basic funnels, on and there's a lot of stuff that is outside of it. Frazier, this is Frazier. He has kind of his lead generation system that he teaches is called FAM. It's find, add, and message, or find, follow, and message. And this is just kind of a graphic of what he teaches people. So he teaches the daily habits on social media. And so he basically teaches people how to connect, what to say to people when you add them as their friend, how to message them, and basically how to do the same thing, but on social media. And so there are some very, very cool systems, right, that other people are using outside of doTERRA that work really effectively that we can kind of take and blend into, if we want to call it kind of the gospel of Elise or the gospel of doTERRA, the pipes or whatever it might be. So I just want to check chats. Okay, in French. Okay. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to stop there. So I wanted to go back here real quick. Oh, not this one. And, it was really helpful for me to go through and create a list of what our onboarding process looks like. And I'm happy to send this to you guys and share it with you guys. But I think that it's really key for you and your teams to have a written, clear, simple reference that they can go to and they can use, whether you're going to put that in a Facebook group as a unit, or whether you're just going to have that on your website, or whether it's something that you train with, right? But that they understand and use. And it was really easy to do this for onboarding wellness or wholesale customers, which I went through and did. It was really easy to do this for onboarding wellness advocates. Where it became more complicated was production and growth, personal leadership and growth. Like what are those things looking like for us? Event promotion. And so, I'm not usually one, before I like to present something, I usually like to have it perfect. But Kirsten reminded me that good leaders share what they're learning, not what they've already mastered. And so this is kind of, my attempt at having a collaborative call with you guys and saying, hey, this isn't really all figured out. And it's something that we can figure out together. So I wanted to kind of go back, and I don't know if Kirsten's still on, or Rochelle, if you're able to.
Yeah, I'm on.
If you're able to unmute, or kind of have any thoughts. Have any thoughts about, I don't know, like when you look at those systems for your team. Go ahead.
I just want to start at the beginning again. I think we've been talking about a lot of things, and I want everybody to take a step back, take a deep breath, and really ask yourself, what are the main problems that I'm experiencing in my organization? Meaning, when you get on the phone with one of your leaders, and what do they say? I mean, we've been doing this for long enough that we could have basically an FAQ page, right, of the frequently asked questions that most people are going to bring to the table. And so what I love about what Kyle has done based on the systems that Fraser, you know, in that podcast talked about, really just identify a couple of things that we can use to make our lives easier, right? Like, that's it. Like, I just want to make your life easier. And also, before I go into the systems a little bit more, one thing I also wanted to say is, I think when we get to this diamond level and we're kind of stressed out about why we've trained our frontline leaders, right? Like, they get it. And if they're still with us, right, Laura, like if they're still in it to win it, they aren't training their team the same way that we've trained them. Why? It's not duplicating. Kyle and I have had this conversation with each other so many times. And, you know, there's one lesson that I think we learned the hard way, and we just don't know everything, right? Like, we're all doing our best. But one thing that we've realized that really stops the duplication down on your second and third and even fourth level is that your talents won't duplicate. So what you're really good at, like your superpower thing that maybe even got you to diamond, and like it keeps you excited about doTERRA and all the things, it doesn't duplicate. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't still lead with your talents and, you know, be yourself, but you have to understand that only systems duplicate. Like only a system is a thing that's going to be the thing that will continue on down through your team. So, you know, even I'm just going to be completely transparent. Even, you know, our website, for example, Essential Oil Expert, like we built Kyle built it. When I say we, you guys know I really mean Kyle. I collaborated with him and gave him advice, but you know, he built that, and we love Essential Oil Expert, and we have so much content on there. But one thing we noticed is that not everyone, but most of our frontline leaders were like, oh gosh, okay, so the Kirschbaums built this website, so I need to build a website. It was, you know what I mean? So we saw them like spend lots of time and money, you know, building a website, and we're kind of like, you don't need to do that, just use our website. But if we're truly paying attention to what is duplicating, well, what are we duplicating? You know what I mean? Like, what, only do what I do and do what I say, right? And so that's just an example. We're not going to take down Essential Oil Expert. It is, you know, lots of people use it, and it's amazing. But just pay attention to those things that, you know, if you're someone who naturally just walks into a room and people are attracted to you, and you just like make tons of friends, and, you know, that's a talent that you have, right? So look at the way that you could systemize and teach others in a written, duplicatable way to actually be able to go out and do the things that you're doing to build your business. And so that's where the systems come in, right? So we have to really diagnose these basic systems and then have a plan to implement maybe a more duplicatable way of doing it, right? Again, not going to dumb down your talents, not going to not be yourself and do all your amazing things that you're good at. But within a large organization, many of you trying to get to blue and presidential diamond, it has to duplicate in a way that goes down to that third and fourth level. And here's what will happen too. If you can get to diamond with your talents and these systems that are good, but maybe not quite dialed in, you'll get your leaders who hit silver, right? But we all know that gold jump is the leadership jump, right? So like when you're trying to get somebody to go gold, you're trying to get them to be the leader that you are. So how do you duplicate the leadership? You do it by duplicating the systems, and only the systems sprinkled in with the talent, right? So that's why I just wanted to kind of go back to like the importance, like how it actually applies to the problems that you're experiencing in your business right now. If you don't dial it in better, you're going to continue to experience the slump of the silver / we'll call it the premier gold slump that most people get into because they need that system for leadership duplication. So as we look at the systems, we've talked about lead generation, right? And Kyle, you can go back and share if you want. Lead generation, what is the system or process that you teach to make sure your team never ever runs out of people, right? And so there's quite a few different ones, and we don't need to go into those, but just pay attention right there. If that's your one thing that you want to really dial in and make sure it's super clear, you'll probably have to train on that 2 or 3 times in the same exact way for people to actually get, oh, this is our team's lead generator. You know what I mean? Like, don't assume that because you did.
Oops.
Thank you. Don't assume that because you did one Zoom call on it or 2 Zoom calls that people in your team get it. It has to be repeated. It's like being a parent. How many times am I going to tell my children, you know, to X, Y, and Z, right? It's just this constant thing. And I'm not saying that people are stupid, but, you know, it's just we all need to hear it regularly, right? Same thing with onboarding customers. Oh, my goodness. I mean, if I have like $1 for every time I hear, I don't really know where to send people. Like when they sign up with their oils, like where should I send them? You know, I want to slap them in the face, to be honest with you. I don't know how many more times I can teach it, but you got to teach it again, right? Same thing with onboarding business partners, like your wellness advocates. And I would also add to this onboarding word. I know we're using Fraser's exact words, but as I've been going through this, I like to call this third category my business partner nurturing system. Like, again, you know, you've got relationships with your leaders. You love them. You know, you could send them a text message and send them flowers or send them a birthday card. But what is the system? See, you're really good at it, right? But how is your second level leader nurturing their business partners? Do you understand? If you create a little bit of a better system, some ideas and some framework behind it, then people are like, oh yeah, that's why that's important, right? And I would add, as part of your business partner nurturing, introducing them to your upline and even their upline, like connecting them to different leaders in doTERRA in your upline, because I have seen too many times where maybe a leader doesn't like the way that I'm doing it. And I'm so grateful that Melina also has a relationship with my leaders so they can go and cry to Melina about what a sucky leader I am. Like, seriously, I'm like, oh, please go talk to my doTERRA mom. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So that business partner nurturing is really welcoming them into the entire family of doTERRA so that they can find the leader that speaks their love language, even if it's not you. Okay, so production and growth, really, to me, this is sales. Like, how are they selling oils? Right? So we've done a lot of different systems before. We've done Emerge and we've done pipes and we've done all kinds of different things. We don't want to confuse people. We just want to do what works. And so pick your system, and sometimes those systems can change, right? Like we can introduce like a new thing. Hey, we're all going to try this system. So Laura, like you mentioned, you know, the Chedevy system. Rochelle and I are also going to Prague in February, you know, because we like to go we like to go to basically Russia in the winter, but we're going to go and get that, you know, sales system dialed in. And then totally for all of 2020, it's like, we're just going to be focused there. So being focused on different sales systems is okay, though. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. We've certainly tried lots of different ways, but just making sure your team knows that, right? So then the personal development system, of course, is, you know, it's the kind of thing that we all love to get lost in personal development. And I think, you know, we could talk for the rest of the call about this. I won't spend too much time, but just here's my advice to you as far as a personal development system. Have your top 5 books that you make sure every leader that is brought, you know, new business partner on your team is reading. So for me, like, I mean, off the top of my head, it's The 4-Year Career. I feel like is one of the best books that outlines what the heck are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, what is this real business? What, you know, so 4-Year Career, The Slight Edge. Kyle and I love the book, The Answer. It's all about like manifesting and like dialing in your vision for your dream, you know? So those, I don't need to go, you pick your last 2 books, but there's a few different books, that personal development thing. I want to make sure every single person on my team has read and reread at least the top 5 books that I choose for my team. Okay. So event promotion. So this is something I've seen, we posted about this quite a bit. There's just a difference between posting an event on your team Facebook page, you know, and actually making sure that people are coming. So the system that I use, like when people say to me like, oh, I can't make it to convention this year. I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, that is not an answer. That is not acceptable to me. Here is why, and here's what I'm going to do to get you there. So when I talk about like a system for events, like using the events that we know about right now, leadership, convention, and maybe like another team event that you have, right? Like either a boot camp or just whatever team event you're doing, and knowing how to announce those events early enough, and perhaps running a campaign to that event, right? So let's say leadership is coming up in March, right? So Kyle and I like to look at, okay, if leadership is in March and we go back through, 90 days before that, January, February, March, I guess December is kind of 90 days before that, but what can we do now to promote leadership, to make sure, like, any possible reason why somebody would not be coming to leadership is like not an issue. You know what I mean? So we do things where they can qualify to earn, a gas card if they're driving, or maybe like pay for half their airline ticket, and just work backwards from that event to make sure that like they earn. We don't want to just give it away for free, right? We want them to put some skin in the game. But using events as the prizes and like the incentives for our 90-day campaign or our launch your business campaign, right? Using events as the prize for people to win the opportunity to gather with us.
And I think a part of that is knowing who on your team is on the watch list.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm happy. And I was just going to say to you guys, a really big part of our 7 systems is our assistant, Julianne. We found our assistant, Julianne, through, there's a girl named Camille, who's a diamond in doTERRA, who runs a service called Dova Match, right? It's DOVAMATCH, right? You pay $300 one time, and then she interviews, and you tell her what you want, and she interviews and she finds somebody. I will tell you guys, if you use Camille, or if you find your own VA, we will let you have Julianne train your VA so that she knows all of the stuff that she does for us. One of the things that Julianne does for us is she maintains a watch list of all of the people that are silver in our organization, all the people that are basically silver and above, or would qualify potentially for Diamond Club, or even all of you, so that
we're watching.
Yeah, we're watching.
Guys.
So that we know, and when the times comes, we can communicate to that group of people. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to mention that about Julianne. She does a ton of stuff for us, and she's amazing. She probably costs us about $300 every 2 weeks. So we pay $600 a month to have this basically almost full-time, she handles so much stuff, and it's worth we would go crazy if we didn't have her. And so having somebody like that in your organization, many of you would probably only spend maybe $300 a month to have somebody like that doing stuff for you. And Julianne knows how to run Synduit. She knows how to set up ManyChat. She knows basics about ClickFunnels. She manages all of our groups. She manages all of our oil studies. She knows how to do very technical things. She does recognition. She takes all of that stuff off of our plate so that we can focus on enrolling, we can focus on prospecting, and we can focus on lead generation, right? The things that like drive our business. So Danielle, we pay her, she's worked her way up. When she first started with us, I think we paid her like $18 an hour, and she's now been with us 2 years, and we now pay her $25 an hour, and she's worth every single penny. And so you get what you pay for, honestly. I always start somebody and I say, hey, listen, we're going to start by paying you $18 an hour or $15 an hour. We're going to do a trial for 90 days to see, or 30 days to see how this goes. And then we're going to reevaluate the relationship, and we can decide whether or not we're going to work with you long-term. And if we do, then we'll bump your pay, right? And so that's kind of how we set that up. So 40 hours a week, yeah, 600. No. She doesn't work 40 hours a week. She probably works, I can pull up, here's our spreadsheet. And if you guys are looking at my screen, I'm just going to share my screen and I'm going to share the spreadsheet so you guys can actually see. She sends me every 2 weeks. She sends me, she updates this Google Doc and it shows me exactly what she's worked on. She keeps track of exactly what she's worked on. So 2.25 hours on BOGO posts, 0.75, 2.25 on this, handouts. Then she totals it up. So 16.75 hours for those 2 weeks. And then we pay her. She has it right here. And I make sure it gets, we pay her. So that's exactly how we track it. And she will, if you guys have a VA and you find one, she will teach them how to set all of this up, even down to how we, work with her and manage her so that you can do the exact same thing. Okay. So Veronique, to answer your question, we do our own personal, I would say this, having somebody, we manage our own personal social media. She manages our Facebook groups, both education and builder groups, but we handle our personal social media. I would get somebody separate to do that if you wanted to do that. Like one person can only have, can only be so much. Okay. So anyway, I don't want to go down that tangent, but I know that I think if you are diamond and you are earning between, let's say $6,000 to $10,000 a month, or actually, here's a better question. A better question is, how much time are you spending on all of this stuff that is taking you away from focusing on IPing, inviting, presenting, and following up? If these things are stopping you from doing that, then you should pay $300 a month to have an assistant, period. It'll change your life. And we are here to help you train them. Help you hire them. The whole thing. So anyway, I know that was a little bit of a tangent on systems, but she is probably one of the most important parts of our system. And I think that website is dovamatch.com or something like that. I don't know if that's exactly it. Yeah, it is. It is it.
Yeah, that's it.
So anyway, and you can find your own personal assistant. So I know we've been on for almost 50 minutes and we've been a little bit all over the place and the perfection.
Well, the last system is culture, right? The last system is culture. So we got down to the bottom and then the last system is culture, just in finishing up with that. So I think this is really important and probably related a lot to having an assistant because all these systems take so much time. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I think that the double-edged sword is this, guys. We're speaking to you because you guys are high-level leaders on our team, right? It is your responsibility to look at that Canva doc and say to yourselves, okay, you know what? That's Kyle. That's his strength. My strength is keeping things simple. I don't want to have 7 systems. Right now, the only thing that serves me right now is maybe lead generation, onboarding, wellness or wholesale customers, wellness advocates, and community and culture. So Kyle, I think that's really cool that you have 7 systems. Right now on my team, I only need 4. Does that make sense? Like that's how I want you guys to interpret these calls, is because you're high level leaders, because you guys we've all been doing this, filter these calls, pull out the 1 or 2 things, but do not feel like you have to replicate the whole thing. In fact, if it were me, I would look at these 7 systems and I would say, okay, cool. I'm going to just work on one. I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to refine one, and I'm going to start teaching my team how to improve one of them. Okay.
I think it's good to know what they are, though.
Totally.
And like I said before, to understand that when you work for like a year or 2, and then you get to this place where you're like, oh my gosh, like what's what's wrong? You know what I mean? Like, what isn't duplicating? Well, chances are it's one of the 7 systems. So, you know, as a high level leader, I think you are capable of just having a bird's eye view of, these are kind of the balls that are going to need to be in the air at some point, maybe not all at the same time, but it's easy to diagnose what's missing in your organization and why you keep bumping up against the same rank or, you know, falling back or whatever, because there may be a system that could have been in place that would have served your team better. You know, so I think it's great information to use.
And in the real world, guess what? In the real world, when you are running a business that is doing a few $1 million a year, what do businesses that are doing a few $1 million a year do for each of those systems? They actually hire a person to manage each of those systems, right? So I think that one of the problems that can happen with our industry is that we don't treat our business like a normal business. Like, I'll just tell you guys, with where we're at Presidential Diamond, we have tried to seek out people and pay for programs that would help us refine our lead generation system, right? Or we have, you know, and so I just kind of want you to kind of process all of those things. If you feel like you're maxed out, then you either need to simplify the systems you're focusing on, or you need to add people to your team that are going to help run those systems, right? And that is what high-level leaders do, is they can kind of see the balance between hiring and between simplifying. And so so in the month of January, and it'll be kind of crazy because when we do these on the first Friday, I'm just pulling this up, but so the first Friday will be the 3rd. So we might not even do it on, I don't know if we'll end up doing it on the 3rd. I think we might be flying.
Here.
So we'll announce it, but I just want you guys to know that the intention is to start conversations in our EOE Diamonds and Above group, probably about the lead generation system. I mean, I want to know how Kimberly enrolled 28 people. I mean,
I can tell you.
It was at an event. Yeah.
Oh, was it at an event?
That is not, you know, okay, Kimberly, if you watch this, because I was there with her, that's disheartening for many of us. She, you know, her method was not the normal way.
It's okay though. Like, that's where we want the unnormal ways, right? You know, I mean, do you guys know how Jenna Rammel on Melina's team, how she enrolled 72 people last month? And she did it through Instagram, selling a private oil blend that she created with doTERRA's oils, right? So some of these, again, it's about processing these anomalies and saying, okay, hey, what part of this can I do? What part of this is me that I feel comfortable with? And then applying that piece and not worrying about copying everything that person is doing. So I think that's what's important, is that we identify one of these systems, and over the course of this next month, Nancy, 37 people. Sigrid had 28 people. Was Sigrid at that event too?
No, Sigrid was in Germany.
Yeah,
so you know,
so she enrolled 28 people in Germany, right? And so anyway, people are doing amazing things. And I think all of us would love to have a constant flow of ideas for lead generation, right? I think everyone would agree that that's an area. So anyway, we're going to kind of finish up. It's been an hour. I know you guys have stuff to do. It's the holidays. But we just want you to know how much we care about you, think about you, and you know, how committed we are to continuing to raise the bar, to improve as leaders. You know, the most growth happens during dips, right? It happens during frustration. It happens when things get difficult. And so the fact that you guys are committed, you're here, you're working through that, allows you to learn leadership lessons that most people quit at, and then they go start over somewhere else, forever avoiding the opportunity to learn those leadership lessons. So anyway, super grateful. If you have any questions, let us know. I'm going to post all this stuff in our EOE Diamonds group and start a conversation about kind of these different subjects so that we can kind of, as we have ideas or we want to tag things, we can do that. Yeah, go ahead.
Carl, I would love, it doesn't have to be now, but could be later, is just more info on a virtual assistant, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm wanting to know, how do you work with that virtual assistant? Are they in the same time zone as you?
No, yeah.
You know,
They're
what
five-
is
5
happening
hours
with
ahead
the
of
stuff
us.
in your office?
No
that
one's in the same
Yeah.
time zone
Laura,
as me.
just Laura.
And Rochelle.
And Rochelle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
so
just the practical workings out of a virtual assistant.
Yeah,
Because
what if-
I
what
have
if
someone
I-
who helps.
what if I did a Zoom? What if we set up a Zoom with Julianne? And
I'd
we
love
actually just record, you know, we just have a conversation. Maybe I'll just do a Zoom with Julianne in our Diamonds and Above group. It can be recorded. You don't have to be on. Maybe we'll do like a Facebook Live, and we'll just go through the whole process.
Yeah, because I want to know, is she doing your Instagram for you? And then who is practically
No.
doing stuff in your office for you? Because that's another thing.
It
So
is
much-
another thing. We don't have that. That's harder to do than the virtual assistant.
Okay, I'd love discussion around that, because they'll just
Yeah.
help.
Cool. Well, I'll plan it maybe for this next week with Julianne, and we'll do a Q&A on.
We're all wanting to know if Julianne can work for us as well, though.
So here's the cool thing, you know, and I don't offer this to all of our, you know, I've offered Julianne to our frontline leaders, like to kind of help them with things. Obviously, the way that we scale Julianne is by taking her experience that she's had with us and having her train your virtual assistant.
So
Right?
I have a question, Kyle. If they pay for the Dova Match service, which is $300, isn't that what Dova Match is saying they will do?
Dova Match will kind of cover some of those basics, but there is no way that Dova Match is teaching their VAs how to set up ManyChat sequences and how to like write emails and upload. Like Julianne manages all of Kirsten's podcasts. So when there's a new podcast that she records,
All 6 of them that I've ever
yeah, all
done.
6 of them. Julianne will she knows how to edit them together. She knows where to upload them to. She knows the whole thing. So so we've just added a lot of processes to what Julianne does, right? And so I guarantee people are not.
Yeah, but right now, if you guys wanted to go to Dova Match and just check out their services and see how they train doTERRA certified assistants, I think you could probably even just right now get somebody going, get them, you know, get to